What's going on, Wolfpack Nation? We appreciate everybody joining with us once again as we are coming fresh off of a 2-hour long Tuffy Talk live show yesterday, y'all. It was a doozy to say the least. But basically what we decided was that since we had the tournament starting for us on Thursday, we said, well, it doesn't really make sense to do episodes because then you have to edit them and then you have to put them out and blah blah and give people time to watch it. So we're like, you know what, let's do a live stream real quick, and it just makes some fun out of it. A whole lot easier, a whole lot less post-production, and a whole lot more fun because then we can have all of our NC State's supporters here on the show with us to give their own comments and questions, thoughts, concerns. But with that being said, we are live finally. I apologize that we were a little bit late, as it was my fault, as we were getting ready to go live, and my wife came in here just like screaming, like, "Babe, I need you now. Need you to stop right now. Come downstairs right now." And I come downstairs. I kid you not, y'all. There was a dead, deceased baby bunny on our hardwood floor, right in front of our back, right in front of where our back door is. And oh my god, inside.
Did your dog get a hold of it? Did your dog?
Obviously, Ashton didn't go grab it outside and bring it inside.
Yeah.
But oh my gosh,
it might have been a Carolina fan just saying, "Watch out."
Yeah, you never know.
You're next, buddy.
Yeah, okay.
They couldn't get a horse head in your house, so they dropped a bunny in there instead.
Exactly right. Exactly. So I apologize, y'all, and I'm sorry if I give a little shiver. Golly, that was a weird thing to grab. Anyway, though, so with that being said, we're live with our guy Ryan Williams for Inside Pack Sports, man. Everybody who's watched us a couple times knows who Ryan Williams is at this point. So, Ryan, no need for introductions there. Jason, appreciate you tuning in, man. Slam, appreciate you tuning in, man. If you're tuning in with us and you've been with us before, you know the drill. But if you haven't been with us before, any questions, thoughts, concerns, requests that you have, put them in the chat. We will discuss them here today. But really, kind of the purpose of this call, this live stream, is to again preview. Yeah, I know, right? I know. Being in sales, right? The script just rolled naturally, But is to preview men's basketball, women's basketball NCAA tournament, man. But Ryan, I know we haven't really had much of a chance to talk, man. So I know that you've been, you and
busy on
social
media.
Yeah, I know you were busy on social media, but you and your lovely were busy taking your daughter around at dance competitions, man. So kind of tell me the story of where were you when it happened? Were you in an area where you could be emotional as you would like to, man? Because I'm sure just like myself, that the reaction that I had, which I'm sure you've seen, that you probably had, maybe not as big, but similar reaction. Would you agree, Ryan?
Yeah, I think it was Friday night against Virginia. I think it was 4 minutes left. State got down by 9. Virginia was just like hitting every three on their drag screens across. And I'm like, okay, here we go. I was like, this is it. We made a good run. We beat Duke. And then the next thing I know, we're going into freaking overtime. Like, M's asleep over there because she's already gave up. I wake her up. We go into overtime. And it was like 30 seconds left. And State Head was shooting free throws. And it like finally hit me. I was like, oh my God, we're going to the freaking conference. We're going to the championship game. And even then, like I still didn't believe it because, Greg and I were talking before going to this. It's like realistically, we expected to beat Louisville. But we didn't really expect to get past Syracuse just because it was just one of the seasons. And then going into the championship game, I was nervous. I told him if it was football, I couldn't even be in the same room as someone. If we were in the championship game, granted, I would be there regardless, but I would have been an absolute wreck. But going in there, I felt like, we've accomplished a lot just getting here. So it was just like one of those, like, I was just excited to watch State play. I didn't have high expectations. I just wanted to watch them play. And then as the game went on, I'm like, these dudes are just freaking, they're better than UNC. I was like, they have a serious, legitimate chance of this. And then just in the second half, it was like 2 minutes left. State was up by 11. And I told him, I was like, we're about to win the championship game. And lo and behold, the last 2 minutes probably took 15, 20 minutes, it seemed like, because it was just, turnovers, fouls, missed threes. But I don't know, man. It just still seems just so surreal because it's such like an improbable win,
Amen.
for the program.
Absolutely. I love it. Yeah, no, again, just wanted to obviously, couldn't necessarily talk about the NCAA tournament, without letting you kind of tell your side of the story in terms of how that experience was for you, for sure. As again, we obviously talked about it at nauseum last night. So, but a couple of comments here already. I wish, Slam saying, I wish NC State could make college ball playoff or final. The fan base is awesome.
The Final Four. He corrected himself.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Yeah. Final Four. Make a Final Four. Yeah. I mean, hey, college ball playoffs, the beautiful thing this year with the playoffs. If you win the ACC, you make college ball playoff automatically. So, I mean, it's not a far-fetched thing. So we'll see. And then Final Four, I mean, I would say that we have the same chance to make the Final Four as we did to win the ACC championship, I would say. So, I mean,
you only got to win 4 games to get to the Final Four. We won 5.
It's so much easier. It's 20% easier.
Easy.
So, but anyway, though, and then Jason with the fun comment, tell the kids Easter has been canceled. That's awful.
I mean, like Fatal Attraction, where it was in the pot.
Yeah, right. But with that being said, one thing though we didn't talk about last night, which I want to kind of get your thoughts on, and Greg, Michael, and kind of let you chime in as well, and let us know in the comments your predictions as well. But obviously, the news came out that LJ Thomas decided to enter his name in the transfer portal, and he was a guy that seemed to make definitely much more of an impact last year. This year, it just seemed like he just kind of got lost in the shuffle, couldn't find his way back on the floor. But honestly, I was actually surprised that he actually stuck with the team as long as he did. I actually would have thought that maybe halfway through the season, maybe like heading into 2020, like into the actual year 2024, so like 2 months into the season, he would said, you know what, it's not really shaping up. Maybe it's time for me to go ahead, get my name in the portal, get myself a head start to go and find my next destination. But were you surprised by the move? And then B, how much of an impact do you think it'll have on the team for next season?
I'm not surprised by the move. I've heard a lot behind the scenes that there was a lot to it. And there was reasons why he wasn't really playing. I mean, obviously, I'm not saying the reason why, but I think it's just in the best look for both sides of the party that they just kind of move on. And I mean, I really don't think it hurts State. Keats is a dude. If he wants a guard, he's going to go get a guard. You're going to, as of right now, you're bringing in McNeil and Parker for next year. And I mean, LJ, he's just going to get pushed down. Like he's had his moments, but I don't know. He's not, I think he's like bigger guards in his rotation and athletic guys. LJ showed flashes. But I think at the end of the day, I think it was best for both parties that they kind of parted ways and kind of moved on.
Gotcha. Cool. Michael, Greg, any other additional thoughts on the news of LJ Thomas putting his name in the portal?
Yeah, Ryan probably has a better pulse on this than I, but I've heard he's been gone from the team since January from all accounts. So he's actually been away for a while. So not surprising at all.
Yeah. And I think that's best for both sides from what I've heard.
Just a good reset.
Yeah.
Well, has it been January? I thought he played in games like up until at least the end of February.
See, I thought so too, but someone told me really close to the program that he's been gone since January. So I was like, oh, okay. So I just kind of took about their word. I could be 100% wrong.
Maybe like made a decision to leave.
Yeah.
Oh, no, looks like the last game he played in was January 30th.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. But I think it's really minimal at the most, especially again with today's age in the transfer portal. Like, it's kind of like for me, God, who was the guy that transferred to Oklahoma State and just put his name in the portal again?
Miranda.
Isaiah Miranda, where it was kind of like, people were freaking out about him going in the portal, and and somebody commented on social media was like, guys, Kevin Keats literally watched him in practice for months and still decided to play somebody else and sit Isaiah Miranda on the bench. Like you don't need to have insider info to just see plainly like he's just not ready. And obviously Oklahoma State would agree. So
and by the way, Oklahoma State stunk.
Yeah, they were bad too. Like
So
they fired their
if
coach.
if you can't crack that lineup, well, I don't know what to say.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just
I think
saying.
as a fan, it's easy to think, hey, I want this guy to play. Hey, I like this guy.
He looks
But
sexy, right?
yeah, like
Mhm.
like Leighton said, is like, we don't see what goes on in practice, and this is a great case of stuff behind the scenes that we fans do not see. But obviously Keats and the coaches do see. And I think there's a lot of criticism, like obviously it's a completely separate conversation point, but there's a lot of criticism throughout the year about playing guys and just the team in general. But I think it was a general consensus amongst the coaches regarding this.
Yeah, and those questions of why isn't this guy playing or that guy playing, they only come up when you're losing because you think that maybe they can help better. Like during this run, the rotation was 7-8 guys, right?
Yeah, 8.
And honestly, I think we got better because the rotation shrunk so much.
Yeah.
So,
well, I think the other part too is that you get better because you know your roles, so you know when you're expected to be in a game and when you would be producing. And like we talked about it last night, where I thought that Keats did a really good job managing DJ. You would see him, go out with about 7-8 minutes left, and come back in with about 4 to 5 minutes left, so he could be ready for the stretch. And so you would see that. And then I thought he did a really nice job, kind of managing, especially towards the last 2 or 3 games with the foul situations. He saw, like, okay, he was doing a lot of defense to offense substitutions. Like you just saw a lot of great matchups. And then with Horn and in the championship game coming off of RJ Davis, like he pushed all the right buttons, long story short.
Yeah.
Agreed.
I think what changed with Burns was in that Wake Forest game when Keats got ejected. And now, of course, I could just be over analyzing and overthinking it. But when Keats got ejected, and who is it? Richardson stepped in as the interim head coach. He basically sat Burns and played Middlebrooks because he was the better guy. And to me, during the season, I think Keats was just playing Burns because he just felt he was the better guy no matter what. But I felt after that game, it kind of switched to like a matchup game for Keats where he would play Middlebrooks a lot more than he would play Burns if the matchup was there for it.
Yep. Agreed. 1,000% agreed. And I think they both benefited from it, to be honest with you.
Yeah. And the good thing about playing Burns at the end of the UNC game is like you had a lead. So you basically could just feed the ball to Burns, have your guards sit on the outside and rest, for 15, 20 seconds and not have to cut off of screens and Iverson cut, whatever it may be, and just rest. Because that was Burns's whole reason to be on the offense.
Yeah. Yeah, the way he took over in both the overtime of Virginia and in the Carolina game, it was something to be seen. I mean, he really earned that MVP in those last 2 games.
Oh, for sure.
So with that being said, kind of getting on a couple other topics or comments here as well. Razor saying, I honestly think Ross may be leaving hardly any playing time. Hopefully he stays. Ernest Ross is definitely an interesting thing to see, but again, I mean, he's fully locked in for the rest of the season, so we're just going to focus on that for now, and then we'll just see what happens in the postseason. But
he
seems
like a team first guy. I mean, he was clearly getting recruited over in the portal last year, so he had his opportunity to leave last year.
Yeah, I think Ross is just happy to be there. Honestly,
yeah,
I think, like you said, he knows his role. He's happy to be there. The fact we got 2 points out of him in a damn championship game.
Okay.
Yeah, and it looks so natural too. But I mean, again, I think it's kind of like the LJ Thomas effect where like he had that one game last year where he went off.
Miami.
Miami. Yeah.
We beat Miami. But at the end of the day, I mean, he's a role player guy. He's one of those good practice guys because he's lengthy and athletic. So he's going to push the guys in practice. But he's happy to be there.
Not to be disrespectful to him, but he might be more famous for the goggles, sign than anything else. And
but I'm sure he would own that. Like,
oh yeah, he did it. He was doing it at the end of the championship. He was taking pictures with people doing the goggles. I mean, he fully embraced it. And you need guys like that, right? You need the kind of the wacky guy to kind of keep the team together, keep them loose when things are tight. Like, he's the perfect dude.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I don't know how, contract wise works, but I mean, if I were him, I would have, said, I'm getting a piece of every single
Trademark
shirt
that.
you're selling with that Cardinals fan. I mean, I was the first one to do it, to get famous for it. So I mean, hey, go for it, bro. So, but yeah, Logan Tate saying it's unfortunate and will be better for both parties. One thing, looking into future recruiting, small guards at State that aren't really great scorers just don't seem to fit the scheme well. And I think we definitely have seen that. Just with guards that have a little bit more size to them, seem to fit better unless they're just an automatic bucket. Like
I just have one wish list. Is just get a shooter. Just get me a shooter.
Yeah. And
like
right.
Joyner and Horn were not the biggest guys, but they could get a bucket whenever you needed it. So
true.
Yeah.
And Ryan, was my tweet about hey, Quentin Copeland is on the portal. We should offer him. Psych. And everybody's like, no, you should offer him. And so I mean, was that insensitive by me? Should I respect that there's a possibility of him coming to State?
Dude, I don't know. Like, that dude is just annoying. Like, it's just I get having like an ego or whatever playing basketball, but like that's just crazy. But now, granted, if we were a Syracuse fan looking at Horn flipping off the refs, obviously we would feel some way about it.
He's definitely one of those guys you hate him when he's on the other team, but love him when he's on your team.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I mean, I think he's a good player.
Sure.
I get why he's leaving, but that's still, you can't flip off our student section or whatever. And come here.
He was going after him in the tournament game too. He was going after the bench.
Yeah.
And that's crazy. I mean, like, he's just like a role player guy. Like, you're not like dropping 20 a game.
Right.
But,
stay in your lane. Stay in your lane. All right, y'all. So with that being said, let's jump into it here, man. We got NC State versus Texas Tech here coming up here Thursday night at 9:40 p.m.
Yeah.
Time, man.
48 hours.
48 hours from now we'll be counting down the seconds to tip off, man, which is just get your coffee ready for that game, y'all. But number 6 seed Texas Tech versus number 11 seed NC State. The initial reactions which I heard from people who were just looking at just specifically the matchup, I think that 90% of State fans, and rightfully so, are saying, listen, I don't care if we get UConn in the first round. At the end of the day, it's all gravy at this point, man. Like, it really doesn't matter. But from the 10% who were actually focusing on who we were getting, most of them are like, ooh, Texas Tech. Okay. That's definitely not UNC quarter, UNC bracket easy. That's definitely a tougher sled, especially facing the potential of facing Robert Dillingham in Kentucky in the second round, which would be very, very interesting. So Ryan, I mean, initial thoughts when you saw Texas Tech versus NC State.
Yeah, I mean, I think State could beat them. So it's going to be interesting to see the health. I think it's have it here. It's their forward Williams and their center Washington. So Washington has been out since like the middle of February, and Williams just hurt his ankle this past Thursday. I think Williams I think they said he was in a boot this past week, and then Washington hasn't played in a month. They don't think the center is going to play. He's a 7-foot guy.
That's Washington,
Yeah, and Texas Tech already has like a 6-7 man rotation. So you take their biggest dude out, and Williams is going to be like a game time decision. I think he's trending towards playing, but you're still going to limit your I guess your rotation when it comes to that. For me, I'm going to be interested to see how Morcell is, because I know he tweaked an injury, against UNC.
Yep.
State's really going to need him, but at the same time, I'm pretty sure you're going to have Dennis Parker back.
Cool.
So you'll at least have him back in the rotation, because he's been out with the flu. So again, if he's going through practice and he's fine and get it back up to game speed, you're good. But it's going to be, we really need Morcell to hopefully be healthy. So that'll be a big thing. But I think it's a game that State can win. I think the Big 12 was really overrated in terms of their strength. The ACC had a winning record against them when they played them this year in non-conference. I definitely think it's a game State can win. I mean, obviously we just beat, Duke and UNC, who are 2 top 10 teams. UVA is basically a top 25 team. So it's going to be a tournament of where, well, we can beat everyone, depending on who shows up. But at the end of the day, I still think Tech is a good. I think State has a good chance against them.
Yeah, well, because even look at size, because I think that the biggest thing, I mean, pretty much it's going to be which team can has somebody that could deal with, and I say deal with, not stop, deal with DJ Burns. And you're looking at, Warren Washington's, 7 feet tall, 230. And then you look at the other guys, other forwards, the only other guy that really stands out to me in terms of size that could maybe do something with him is Robert Jennings. And looking at the stats, he's played in 30 games this year. He's only started in 9 of them.
But he's only averaging 12 minutes a game, so that's not a lot of production.
Exactly. So, and then everybody else that they have on their roster, in terms of forwards, is Kyron Lindsay, 6'8", 215, sophomore. You got freshman Emily Yalaho, 6'8", 240, but he's a freshman. And then Devin Cambridge, who's the redshirt senior, he's 6'6", 210. So once again, it's just like they're gonna have to double him. You got to double him. There's I mean, if Armando Bacot by himself didn't want any of that DJ Burns smoke, ain't no way anybody on this list gonna want any of that DJ Burns smoke. Ain't no way. So you're gonna have to double him.
Yeah, and when it comes to the tournament, I think elite guard play can take you really far. Sure. So to your point, it's like if they're doubling Burns, then you're going to have a guard open, and Burns is good enough to get to him. It's just going to be a matter of knocking down the shots. But we saw it last year with Terquavian in the tournament. I mean, he was just nasty. Like his stretch, it was like 2-3 minutes was probably one of the best stretches I've seen. In the tournament by a State player, like dunking on dudes, hitting threes, like it was crazy. But we didn't have a big man then. So this year you're going to have Burns, and not a lot of teams. Well, actually, really, no team has been able to defend him all year. And it's going to be interesting to see how he's officiated when it comes to the tournament. I was telling him, it's funny when you watch Burns being guarded in the ACC because you can like physically see like Bacot throwing his shoulder, throwing his elbow into Burns. And those officials talk before the game like, hey, we're going to let these dudes do it because it's not giving them a defensive advantage. So it's going to be interesting to see how that's officiated different in the NCAA tournament since you're not going to have the ACC refs there.
Yeah. No, and that's definitely been the most perplexing thing from last year compared to this year is I felt like that last year they were refereeing DJ Burns like it was pickleball, like it was like 7-year-olds playing where it was like, hey, that was mean, that is a foul because that was a mean play, DJ Burns. And then it was just a game of who could flop the best. I remember I think it was PJ Hall against Clemson at the AC tournament that he would flop like crazy, and he got a couple of those calls. But then this year it seems like they're just refusing to call anything on either side. They're just saying, you know what? Just gonna let you guys figure it out. You guys let me know, if it gets too rough, and we'll step in. But other than that, y'all figure it out. So I mean, which I'm cool with for the most part, as long as it stays that way. Because that's one thing I don't. I guess that's the reason I don't really have a problem with them not calling fouls on DJ Burns because they haven't really called anything against him though either. Really, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, if we're honest, I mean, it's like, how do you officiate a freaking dude that's defending a 6'10", 275 guy? Like, that's not a normal dude you're officiating for. So it's like, how do you call anything against the defender that's always going to be smaller? The only way you can call something if he obviously hacks down on him, but you're going to let him be physical, which is what, Minor for Virginia was doing the whole game. Mm-hmm. And they never called anything. And the only time in the UNC game that they would call is if they were coming down on him. And, in overtime against Minor, Minor came down on Burns and they called it. But, I think the consensus has been an ACC play, at least, as long as you're being relatively straight up against Burns, they're not going to call anything.
Agreed. Yeah. So, So Michael, any thoughts here on, how Texas Tech can deal with DJ Burns, man?
I think like we said, I think it's going to come down to if Washington plays. I mean, Burns has at times I mean, last year against Creighton in the first round, Culp runner. He's a 7-footer. Burns struggled with him. So I think that's really going to be the key.
Yeah.
I think for me, as good as DJ Burns can be by himself, he's gonna have to, if they can't handle him with one person, they're gonna, kind of do what Carolina and even Virginia did was kind of sag a guy, and then once he gets low into the post, they try to double down. It's gonna come down to outside shooting. Are we gonna have some of that magic that we had in the ACC tournament? Our guys are gonna have to knock down some shots to then Texas Tech, really has to choose its poison. Are you willing to concede the 2 or give the 3? If we get hot, like we've done a couple times this year, like that UNC game, we were shooting pretty good from 3. It could make for a long night, and so that will be the interesting to see. Or if they go like a hybrid, kind of like we saw with UVA and Carolina, they kind of at times would double them, times they wouldn't, and then we just have to find a way to exploit their defensive trends.
Well, Ryan, I want to ask you too, because it seems like that, at least in the tournament, that DJ Burns had a pattern of when he was passing, trying to force passes, and a lot of times they get picked off, and it turned into a turnover. Do you think that, because for the most part, for the last season and a half, his passes have been beautiful, have never had any complaints, but I definitely kind of felt that pattern in the ACC tournament. Did you kind of get the same feeling a little bit that you seemed to kind of push some of these passes?
Yeah, I remember one vaguely when I think it was O'Connell was like wide open, cutting through, and he just overthrew him and threw it out of bounds. So, and I would have to go back and analyze it to be sure, but I think what Keats ended up doing was kind of dropping Diarra into that like low block area. So if his man came over, then it would just be an easy dump off for Burns to kind of make it of an easier pass. So he wasn't, throwing it 10, 15 feet across court to guards. But I also think too, that's kind of a thing of Virginia's defense. They like to play with their hands and keep their hands out. So it kind of shrinks those passing lanes.
Yep.
But at the same time, you speed up any player, then they're going to be more likely to force a mistake. Cause Burns, he likes to play under control and go at his speed. But if you kind of speed him up, then it's going to get him off his pace a bit.
Yeah. To the point, Burns averaged exactly 2 turnovers a game in the ACC tournament, which is on par for his season at 1.8. So to that point, just got to play within the system and not try to be. That's the other thing too. Like in these one and dones, you want guys to play in the system and not try to be a hero and cause more havoc and chaos than what needs to be done. You just gotta kind of play within the system and not get down or get too high in these games, because these teams will go on runs. We saw State against Louisville get down 11-12 early in the first half, and I'm sure fans were like, oh, here we go, one and done, Keats is gone, and then right back in it, and 5 days later we're ACC champions. So just people got to stick with the script.
That's right. And just for a reminder too for NC State fans in terms of what Texas Tech has done recently. So in the Big 12 tournament, Texas Tech came out and beat number 20 BYU by 14, 81-67, and they lost to the number 1 seed Houston 82-59. So it got demolished by 23 points. So I think it's definitely been an up and down team. They also back in on March 9th actually beat number 11 Baylor, by 10. So solid team for sure. It's definitely, again, not a easy matchup, and even looking at these stats right here, you're seeing pretty 2 even teams. 45% from the field, 45.5% from the field for Texas Tech, 34.2% from 3 for us, 36.7% for Texas Tech. Rebounds wise, 35.2 for us, 34.8 for them. So 2 fairly even teams. But I think the biggest thing, like we were saying, is we really got to continue to control the boards. I thought that was one thing we did a really great job of against UNC, is everybody, it seemed like, bought into the fact that we need to go and carry our way on the boards. And especially if Texas Tech is without one of their starting centers or one of their starting forwards, then that's an opportunity for us, not necessarily to even just make it even, but to capitalize, get some extra opportunities. So,
Dude,
I think that's a big thing for me. Go ahead, Brian.
I'm telling you, Diarra, man, he was the difference
He's a
in that
beast.
tournament. Like, I'm not saying, he was the only dude, but like what he did was just he was out of his mind. I think he averaged like something like 12 points, 14 rebounds against Duke and UNC in the tournament.
Yeah.
I mean, I those aren't the exact numbers, but it was definitely a double-double, which is just like insane to me.
In
14 and 12 against Duke.
And 11 and 4 and 11 and 14 versus UNC. So that's crazy.
It was crazy that he didn't make first team all. I mean, I guess they couldn't give it to everybody on the damn team. But as well. like you can make the argument he played better than Baycott.
Oh yeah. And it's interesting too, because when it comes to the offense, he has shown enough flashes from deep to where you have to at least respect his shot.
Yeah.
So I think that opens up the offense a lot too, because you can still keep Burns down low, but you're kind of stretching it out with Diarra. But I mean, just all around, man, he just played a phenomenal tournament.
Yeah.
It's a good thing too. I know people have kind of made a big deal about the whole fasting and Ramadan thing, but I mean, it can't be not said that that's great that we have a 9:40 game on Thursday night, and he'll be ready to rock and roll for it.
Yeah,
it's basically a whole extra day than if you played at 12.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing too, is like, he did play against Louisville. He did not have anything to drink in. I think he had 20 plus minutes in that game because he had to go longer. I get thirsty going from here to my fridge, so it's pretty impressive.
Yeah, very much so. But I mean, I think that the biggest thing is we got to keep Michael O'Connell going, man. He doesn't need to be necessarily red hot like he was this entire ACC tournament, but if he can be, I mean against UNC, for example, I mean, he had 10 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, but I mean, I really felt like his presence was far beyond that. Finally having kind of a quarterback of the offense, which I think some that this team has needed all season. Having that rock.
He's smart with the ball. He doesn't turn it over much. Even his assists may not be high, but he always knows like where the ball's supposed to go. Mm-hmm. Right, in basketball, you only get an assist if you're the last person to pass it. But if O'Connell sets up somebody else who passes to the open man, then it's like that's basically an assist as well. But yeah, he's just he is like your prototypical point guard.
So I'm pretty sure he was shooting like over 60% from 3 in the tournament.
Yeah,
this was insane. I mean, that was either after UNC or going into UNC. It was like 60-some%, which was crazy. And if you watch him towards the end of the regular season, he was passing up open threes.
He was a couple times in the tournament too. I was like, shoot it, you're hot.
Some of them he's taken.
Yeah, I think he really changed it.
I think the one person too, we kind of talked about Morcell's injury. Jaden Taylor's another guy that had a bad ankle. This is a guy that averaged over 18 points the first 2 games of the tournament, and then I think probably that third game against Duke is when he had to have had his injury, because those last 3 games he had like 6 and like 4, I think, or something like that for points. It was a very different person, and you need Jaden Taylor. I think next to Casey Morcell, he's your second best defender on the team. So when you have 4 guards from Texas Tech that average double figures, and they have 5 total that average and almost a 6 that has double figures, you're gonna have to defend well. I mean, it's a team that scores a lot of points.
Yeah, absolutely. So Jason asking, do we know if DPJ Dennis Parker Jr. traveled with the team in Pittsburgh today? Ryan already kind of touched on that he expects.
I would expect him to play. I haven't heard anything otherwise. I know he was dealing with the flu, but he was with the team at Sports Social when they got picked. So I mean, he was there Saturday too. Yeah, he ended up being in the with not with the team, but he was at the game. I would expect him to play. It's just a matter of how he is in practice, getting back to game speed.
Yeah, I said it last night. Like 5 minutes left in the game, I realized like he was sitting like 5 seats from me. I'm like, oh crap, there's Parker. Or like I was so focused on the game, I didn't even realize he was sitting like 5 seats from me. And it was great to see him get on the court and celebrate with his teammates. So it's good news if he's ready to go, because I mean it's going to be all hands on deck for this tournament.
Which
Yeah.
after watching this team and how they play in the AC tournament, like, do you just kind of like if Dennis Parker is available to play, do you just kind of use him as kind of an emergency situation guy? I feel like I don't feel like you try and force him in.
Probably, yeah.
Like you just like if we're just like really struggling or somebody's in in foul trouble, then maybe you bring them in. But I just don't feel like that you want to throw off this jive we got going right now. This chemistry, we're flowing right now.
Yeah, I think if Morcell's good to go, I just think you keep this rotation through the tournament. I mean, it worked in the ACC. It's gonna. I won't say it will work in the NCAA, but it has a likely chance to work. Yeah. But if Morcell is not able to go, then you're gonna have to slide Taylor into his spot, and then Taylor's gonna have to run between the 2 and the 3. Thankfully, Diarra is not a foul machine, so he can play 30, 32 minutes a game. So you'll at least have your stretch 4 there. But if Morcell can't go, then Parker Jr. would have to fit in.
Yep. So real quick for touch on a couple other comments here. How bad would it be if Colorado State finishes this win over Virginia that we're seeing here on screen?
I would expect it.
It wouldn't be surprising.
Yeah, I think Pitt should have been over Virginia.
Yeah, I don't know how they got in, but
I think Pitt's built more for a tournament run, but I think Virginia got picked just because of their history.
Yeah.
Ooh. All right.
Congrats to Wagner, the coach of their team back in the day was one Derek Wittenberg. So congrats to them for getting a tourney win.
There you go. All right. So been a couple other things. So Jason mentioning baseball again. Their comeback win over Coastal Carolina.
That did not look good early.
No, it didn't.
Yeah, it was 4-0 first inning.
But hey, Michael said in the Discord, Ryan, that somebody put in, what was it, the over under 10 runs given up?
10 runs. It said easy under.
We gave up 8. So let's go, Michael. Cash that thing, man.
Speaking of gambling, Ryan, you've been doing anything since it's become legal there in North Carolina?
I refuse, man. I've had people invite me and they'll be like, "Oh, here's $100 in bonus bets." I'm like, dude, I don't get into that stuff.
Nah, me neither.
Like, I just can't, because I think sometimes it can just be a black hole that you can get into. And to me, like, one, I don't have time to keep chasing numbers and stuff. But it's interesting. I mean, it's a lot of my buddies do it, but I personally do not get into it.
Yeah. Now,
what about other bets? Any status on any other bets that you've made? Maybe not.
What a segue, Greg! What a segue! That's a professional right there.
No, dude. I have like 8 bets. I got I'm supposed to be fasting for like 2 days with this dude, Nye and Brad. I'm supposed to get a freaking tattoo at some point.
There you go.
I have no clue of what I'm supposed to get. These dudes are like telling me to put like a canvas on my body, like Kevin Keats' face with a basketball. And I'm like, can we do something little?
Just put a little basketball with like butterfly wings. Is that what you want?
Yeah, like
on
I'm
your
like,
shoulder.
Talk small, like I don't know, man.
If we get a vote, we vote tramp stamp. So just keep that in mind.
Yeah. Do the butterfly wings down there at the basketball.
Kevin Keats is a winner. There you go.
Yeah.
That's fair. So actually, this is a great question right here from Jason. But who would you guys say is the Texas Tech comparison to a team in the ACC?
I thought he meant Tuffy Talk. I was like, what does that mean?
Yeah,
I am the ACC.
No, I think I haven't really put much thought into it, but off the top of my head, I could see a team like Pittsburgh.
Mm-hmm.
Or even Syracuse. Syracuse doesn't have a really big guy, whereas Pittsburgh does. I think Pittsburgh has Federico. He's close to 7 foot. They have other guys close to 7 foot, but they have guards that can score. And they can kind of stretch the floor with tall forwards that can score too. So I think that's a pretty decent comp to Texas Tech. I'm not saying it's like who it is, but.
No, but that was my first thought too. Is they get up and down the court, and they can go. And my gosh, we struggled against Pitt, so hopefully our comp is wrong.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, but I still think the ACC is highly undervalued. So I feel like State has had very good exposure throughout the year between playing Tennessee, and then obviously playing in the ACC.
BYU.
So yeah, and which they Texas Tech played or whoever it was played, and it's like at least you're going to have good experience in competition. I feel like Keith's rosters are always built for tournaments, as you can see in the ACC. Now, whether they show up, that's a different story, but they're always kind of built around a tournament run.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, we did have a common opponent too, also in Vanderbilt. They beat them by 22. So
yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, State dominated too.
Yeah, and the one thing that's kind of like gone onto the radar that no one's really mentioned, even on like social media, maybe they did and I missed it, but back-to-back years for the Pac going into the NCAA tournament. I think that's not something that's been kind of talked about, and
well, I think only 3 ACC teams: Duke, Virginia, and State, back-to-back years. Clemson didn't make it last year. UNC didn't make it last year.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing is that NC State also hasn't had an NCAA tournament win since 2015. So,
hey, but ironically, that was in Pittsburgh.
That's true.
Oh man,
it's setting up perfectly.
The stars are aligning.
I was there. That was the BJ Anya baby hook against LSU, and then the Piccolo girl.
Yeah,
that was awesome.
And then we were going to lose, ironically, to Louisville before they were in the ACC in Syracuse.
Mm-hmm. Yep, good times. So, all right, y'all. So let's switch on over to women's basketball here, as NC State got put in as a whoops. Why did it share that screen? So let me fix that real quick. But anyway, we got put on as a 3 seed facing number 14 seed Chattanooga, and then we also got paired with us number 6 seed Tennessee and number 11 seed Green Bay. All 4 of those teams are going to be competing. Yeah, all 4 of those teams are going to be competing in Raleigh this weekend. And a lot of stories there between Chattanooga, who was Wes Moore's former team before he came to NC State, and then with Tennessee with head coach Kelly Harper, who used to be the head coach in State for 4 years before we decided to part ways with her. So definitely a lot of storylines there, and especially it's going to be really interesting having Kelly Harper, I think, back in Rails Coliseum for the first time in over 10 years. So, Ryan, initial thoughts? I mean, my initial thought was, Tennessee's a tough 6 seed for sure. I mean, they should have beaten South Carolina, and I do say should have beaten South Carolina.
But it's so funny. People have said it about men's basketball. I feel like they always chase these storylines to make things more interesting.
I think they kind of have to, unfortunately, right?
Oh yeah, for sure, to generate
buzz.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's like one of those things where Harper hasn't been there in God knows what 10, 11 years. Same thing where Moore hasn't been at Chattanooga in 10, 11 years, and it doesn't seem like that. But I mean, that's like how long they've been here. Right. But I mean, it's one of those things, man. Like, I still feel like State women should have won the ACC championship. I still think they were the better team against Notre Dame.
Yep.
But they got hit with the curse that they had at Virginia Tech, where they just went cold, and it ultimately killed them. And I'm pretty sure after that Notre Dame game, I tweeted like they miss having a corner 3 specialist like they had with Kai Crutchfield when they won 3 straight. Yep. I mean, ultimately, it's going to come down to their shooting. If obviously in basketball, if you're shooting well, you can win. But that's even more so for State. Because when they're hot, they beat anyone, because I think that also flows into their defense, and they play a lot better defense when they're making shots. Mm-hmm. And you also are going to need, girls like Collins to step up and continue to get stuff from Baldwin.
Yeah, 100%. Greg, initial thoughts?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't see a problem with Saturday with UTC. I think that'll be fine. Now this is a team, obviously, with the chemistry issues they had last year. They were 1 and done against a Princeton team. We had to go on the road for that one too. So it's nice to be back in the home confines of Reynolds, and it's already a sellout, so it'll be rocking with mostly red. Tennessee is the interesting one, right? I mean, I know you can't look ahead of them, blah 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 blah. But let's be real: if this team doesn't beat UTC, it's gonna be some problems.
Yeah.
But yeah, they pose a threat. I mean, the SEC is arguably the second best conference in women's basketball. I mean, maybe you can make the argument for the Pac-12; they're pretty good. But yeah, I'm excited about the challenge. It just sucks that it's a Saturday Monday setup and not the Friday Sunday. But people will be there, and it'll be interesting too. I don't know the game times. I know Saturday is set for 2:30. Yeah, but Monday, hopefully. I remember 2 years ago when we ended up playing K-State on that. That we had that same setup, and it was like a freaking 2:00 game on a Monday, and I was like, "What the hell is this? Like, this is ridiculous!" Like,
I feel like if it's State Tennessee, that'll be an evening game. I feel like
hopefully
get that on TV.
Yeah. So, but it'll be fun. I everyone was kind of complaining that we probably should have been a 2 seed at some point. I was like, no, we're a 3, and
I think it was their seed, right?
Yeah, 3 is right, and it doesn't really matter at 2 or 3. It's the same seed essentially. You're not playing the 1 or someone else. You just didn't want to be on that 4 line, but and we didn't really talk about the men's either. I thought 11 seed's a good spot for the men to make some damage. You're not caught in that 8-9, then playing the 1 right after that, and teams usually are kind of jumbled up at the seeds between 5 and 7 anyway. So I think you can make some runs, but yeah, it's gonna be fun.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, and looking at Tennessee too, the biggest player that they have is in their 5th year, Rakia Jackson, forward, 6'2", transfer from Mississippi State. I know that when you've had top 10 lists of forwards in women's basketball, that she's usually on that list, and I mean rightfully so. Looking at these stats, I mean 19.4 points per game, 8 rebounds, 2.4 assists per game. Shooting 47% from the field. 76% from free throw and 33% from the 3-point line, an all around forward for sure. Michael, thoughts?
Yeah, Tennessee is definitely going to be, that's a tough second round matchup. If we get there, but overall looking at the whole bracket region, I think it was a pretty good draw for State.
I'm not scared by Texas.
Yeah, Texas as a 1 seed, I think that was the best 1 seed you could have gotten. No Caitlin Clark, no what's her face, Juju for USC.
Now
South Carolina is in the top. So
now I'm gonna circle this game right here, man. Norfolk State versus Stanford, man. I mean,
a little Diamond Johnson action.
Action. I mean,
that'd be nice if you could do us a favor and upset them.
I mean, sure, go for it. I'm here for it.
Well, you also have Jakia Brown-Turner.
Turner in Maryland. Yeah. So a lot of storylines, Ryan. Ready for it, bud?
I'm telling you, they know, man. They know.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, definitely drawing Texas of the 4 between USC, Iowa, South Carolina, Texas. I mean, I'll take Texas for sure.
Yeah. If it comes to it. I mean,
yeah.
I hate that we're in Portland. So if we do make the Sweet 16, we got to go all the way to damn Portland. That sucks.
And that'll be and most likely you're looking at playing Stanford in Portland, so that'll probably be a heavy Stanford crowd there. But it is what it is.
And then Ryan, for Banghart's sake, should she just go ahead and bite the bullet on Michigan State so that way she doesn't have to get her teeth just drawn in by South Carolina in the second round?
Oh wow. I didn't even see where they went
for a second time this year.
Yeah, they'll end up losing that game. At a point, I was like, "Man, is UNC even going to make the damn tournament?" Because it kept losing. I think there's some talent there, but I just don't like her. But maybe hopefully they'll lose first round.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of want them to win and then get stomped by South Carolina. That'd be nice.
I would say that would be fun to watch.
Oh yeah. So that's what I'm saying. I think if if I was an NC State fan and not saying I was scared. I'm not necessarily even saying I'm scared of South Carolina, but I mean, we've always said already. We've said 100 times over. It's South Carolina's to lose. I mean, they're just ridiculous right now. They're undefeated for a reason, and I mean, dude, they even have luck on their side, man. Like the one time where you could even understand if luck doesn't go their way, if their center, who's literally never made a 3-pointer in her life, choose the final shot, like you were saying, okay, like, that's a time where if it doesn't work out, that's fine. But somehow she banks it in, like craziest thing ever.
Yeah, I mean, she almost got like the Gordie Howe hat trick. She made a 3 and then got arrested the next game for assault.
Yeah. That's definitely a Gordie Howe hat trick, at least in my books.
Yeah,
but no. So interesting, and I mean, hey, I mean, with Notre Dame, with how guard heavy Notre Dame is, I mean, I think that
they're peaking at the right time too.
They're peaking at the right time. I think that if you're going to beat South Carolina, that you have to at the guard position. You can't beat them down low, but you can try and do something at the guard position. So, I think Notre Dame can make some noise as well if they get a face off against South Carolina. So
Louisville's got a tough draw on the other side there.
Up here. Yep. Middle Tennessee, and then have to face LSU.
Yeah. Second round.
And then face UCLA more likely.
Yeah, but I think UCLA is pretty beatable. Like they got lucky on some games this year. Like they played a lot of close games and won. But I mean, that's also a good thing too. So they're battle tested. I
mean, let's be real. I mean, I think Iowa and South Carolina are your favorites for sure. I mean, they just I mean, Caitlin Clark's going to get the calls her way. But also, I mean, Caitlin Clark's, I mean, she's the greatest women's basketball player to ever play the game in college. So
anybody know the lowest seed ever to win the NCAA women's basketball tournament? What that seed number was?
Nope.
Couldn't tell you.
3.
Yeah.
Really?
It feels like the women's game. Well, now it's getting more parity, but for a while, I mean, it was very dominant.
So
even outside of men's, it's only like 6.
Yeah,
wow,
the 6 seed, but which is crazy because they want to expand the tournament, and I'm like, for what?
Like, all that is just generating money, Ryan. You know that.
Yeah,
it's not giving teams a realistic chance.
Exactly. Like you're not adding teams that are going to have a chance of winning. Like you're just adding more games, more ad revenue and stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, and again, like I think there's a point where you're adding so many teams in a game where there's a good amount of luck to the game. That's just things go your way. You're feeling it. Shots going your way. Like at that point now, you're just making it that the championship is really kind of just really a coin toss for the most part. Like if you add an extra game, now does UConn not seem so much of a lock in to win it all? I mean, everybody's picking UConn win right now, but if you add an extra game, you're adding in some more ways of things to work out. So it's
I mean, what are you going to have the first 10? Like how you have the first 4 game, you'd have the first 10, like the first 20. Like,
yeah. Now I'll say this right now, and again we'll get back to NC State, but everybody's saying it's automatic qualifiers, unfair. And it's like, first of all, that's just the way the rules are. So you can't say it's unfair because it's the rules. But also because that's what makes it fun. That's what I mean. Because otherwise, there's no way 95% of these automatic qualifiers would be a part of the NCAA tournament. Otherwise, it would just be the college football playoff Final Four in basketball, where it's the same teams over and over and over again. It's like, don't you want the Loyola Maryland, like Loyola, right? Isn't that the one?
Chicago.
Loyola, Chicago. There's a bunch of
Chicago.
Loyola.
Yeah, they had this, their run, like that's the stuff that's why.
What would we do without Sister Mary Jane or Sister Jean?
Hey,
whatever that
hey, she's still kicking, man. She's still kicking.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I can see the argument both ways. It's like well, I can see the argument both ways, except when Carolina's involved, because that's all they freaking are doing right now is whining that they were the best team out of the first 20. You got lucky for 5 days. And then people are saying, well, you're the ACC tournament champions, not the ACC champions. And I'm like, what are we even doing?
I saw that. That was like the worst argument I've ever seen. That's like a politician winning the primary, but not winning the freaking presidential election. Mm-hmm. You're not going to call him the president because he didn't win the election.
Yeah.
It's like, you won the ACC tournament. You're the ACC champion.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Oh, exactly. So anyway, so kind of looking at here. So a couple of comments here real quick. Rob saying that's so funny that NC State basketball and football played Louisville before Louisville joined the ACC. Yeah. I think you're primarily talking about when we played Teddy Bridgewater in Louisville in the Belk Bowl. I'm assuming is what you're talking about regarding football.
And then the Sweet 16 in 2015.
Sweet 16. Yep.
Yeah.
Louisville wasn't in the ACC in 2015.
No.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I know.
Well, let me verify that. Now you got me thinking because I don't think it was the ACC.
Well, I know Maryland's last year was 2013. That was their last year, was 2013.
Yeah, I thought they added Louisville that next year.
Hold on. Keep talking. I'll look it up. Maybe I'm wrong.
I don't know. It just surprised me.
Well, because they added two, because between Pitt, Syracuse, and Louisville, they added two of them first, and then they added another one later. I can't remember which two it was.
They became a participating member in 2014.
Oh, it says 2014. Yeah, I was wrong.
Yeah.
Okay.
See,
All
told
right.
you. It's happened.
So,
It happens.
that was Montrezl Harrell, right? He was on that team.
Yeah.
He was a beast, man.
Yeah. But yeah, so Razor says, I mean, Collins will be the key in the Texas game if we win first game. Yeah, no, definitely between River Baldwin and Collins, got to have one of them step up. Just deal with the Kia Jackson.
I was going to say, I'm surprised they didn't use her more against Notre Dame. I felt like she kind of just stopped playing. Now, I don't know if there's some scenes. Collins,
yeah.
Well, she had that really good game against FSU too, right? So, like,
yeah,
I understand why they didn't keep feeding her.
Yeah, it was very strange. Like, she didn't play like the final 4 or 5 minutes or something.
Yeah,
like
Brooks was in there. Yeah, she actually. Yeah, I think she played for like the last 6 or 7 minutes. To be honest with you, Zoe was in there. Yeah, yeah. I think they were just. I don't know. They went really small. To your point, Ryan, I thought other than they just kept feeding River Baldwin in that championship game, and her shots were coming up a little short at the end. I think she was just gassed. But yeah, to your point, why didn't you bring in Mimi? Because she can hit that mid range jumper, and she can hit a 3 too. And she can she's money around that 10-foot shot. I don't know why they didn't bring her in.
So my question is Wes Moore a good end of game coach?
Yeah.
He's won more championships than I have.
Yeah, but I mean, it is a question of that. If you take away the Elisa Cunane, if you take away,
having the better players, no matter what,
the better players, can he do more with less?
Well, I mean, think about the Rena Perez steal against Notre Dame.
Yeah.
And then you think of the Jakia Brown Turner 3 in the corner at UConn against UConn. I mean, those are, I mean, I'm sure he probably drew up that play for her to shoot. Perez is more of probably an instinct play. I don't know.
Well, Perez against Louisville in the ACC championship too.
Yeah. A little jumper around the free throw line.
Yep.
Just that whole last 7 minutes of that Virginia Tech game still bother me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. Well, he even said I mean, like I said, they were really feeding River Baldwin, and every time they went to that, they were smoking Notre Dame in the third quarter with the inside play of River Baldwin, and in the fourth quarter, she just couldn't hit a shot for whatever reason, and they settle for a lot of perimeter shots too. And we, to your point earlier, we just don't have that shooter.
Yeah,
just don't have a shooter.
I just know when the Keats coach team, Keats gets the flack for it. That's all I got to say.
That's a fair thing. That's a fair thing. Yeah,
I'm just trying to stir the pot.
Yeah. Hey,
3 ACC championships to 1 though.
Oh yeah,
right.
I know. I'm just trying to.
I know you are. I know that's what makes podcasting fun, right?
Well, because
we're all banned. We're all banned now.
It's a fair point. I mean, because obviously, there's no way. I mean, I'm totally reading between the lines. I mean, obviously, Ryan, if he had the choice, he wouldn't fire Wes Moore tomorrow. Nobody would. No State fan would even consider that thought. But I mean, it's a point where you say, if you look at the pattern of where has NC State lost games, it's a little bit in those late game situations where it's a couple possession games. So, but again, that's totally just picking hairs right now. We're totally picking hairs right now.
Ironically,
Uh-oh.
Kevin Keats just won an ACC championship, and there are people that still want to fire him. Wes Moore did not win an ACC championship, to your point, Ryan, and no one's even talking about firing him.
Yeah.
Oh, what a fickle fan base.
What a fickle fan base we are. Well, and especially because I think honestly, those few people who want Keats fired, I don't think it's hit them yet. They're you do realize that 30-year drought that we had in football, men's basketball, and baseball, you do know that's over now, right? Like that curse is over. Like it's behind us. It took me a while to even wrap my head around that, being like, wait, like this thing that we have talked about for years of being this huge cloud over our head, of having the longest drought in college sports, in Division I college sports, like is gone now. Like it's crazy. So that's actually my thought.
Kevin Keats could literally lose every game from now on, get fired, and he will always be remembered.
He'll still be a legend. Yeah.
Absolutely. So
to real fans, to real fans,
correct. Yes, not to everybody, but to real fans. Exactly. To 90% of in-state fans out there, but who have gone out and sniffed some grass, as Joe Ovies likes to say recently. So,
did you guys see what the governor?
Sniff grass. Oh, sniff grass, touch some grass. Okay, appreciate it, Michael. Go ahead, Greg.
Did you guys see what Joe and Joe did? The governor today. When
I saw that. That was very funny.
That was hilarious.
What was it?
So they brought him a coffee cup. It was in blue. Well, it was a white with the Carolina blue. It said ACC, and on the back it said runners up.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, can we like? Would it be a bad thing if In-State Athletics Twitter page commented on Roy Cooper's tweet and was like, "We don't accept your congratulations. Thank you very much, though. Like, appreciate it."
That was a forced congratulations. I don't think he even tweeted it out. I'm probably his press secretary.
That was a very political congratulations.
Yes.
Oh
yeah.
Which doesn't even matter because he can't even run anymore. So I would have just said screw it. I'm not saying crap.
I went back and looked, and I was like, let me see if he said anything about UNC. And I'll be damned if it was the exact same kind of like emotionless, monotonous posts. And I'm like, okay, well, at least he's keeping it the same. But I'm like,
his press secretary does it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Like it was just like saying something to say something.
Of course.
Yeah, 100%. So last couple comments here. Jason saying our free throw shooting was horrible in the AC tournament. They have a 5-7 minute cold stretch every game. Can't get away from that right now. Can't get away with that right now. Yeah, nope. Again,
I think some of that was legs, though. Like you could just tell in that Virginia game, everything was running short on their free throws.
Talking about men's or women's? Because I think the women's.
I think about women's. Yeah, the men were shooting pretty good.
Yeah, they struggled though against Virginia, though.
Yeah,
we're talking women right now. We're talking women still.
Yeah, they definitely.
Yeah. Jason L saying, I love seeing Westmore celebrating on the court after the AC tournament for men's. The primal woo out of nowhere cracked me up. And Razor saying, I don't want to fire him. Talking about Kevin Keats now. I'm now waiting to see if this is the turning point of our program. Give me next season. I'll give you an answer at the end of the season.
See, there you go,
man.
Listen, unfortunately, you have to give him a couple more seasons because he just got a contract extension. So you're definitely stuck with him for at least 2 years.
And he literally did the thing that's the point of the program is
right.
And my thing with Keats, man, is like he got us through that FBI, the whole NCAA thing.
It was
FBI.
And, I think what set the program back. And I love the dudes, they're great guys, but that whole class with Breon Pass, Shaq Moore, I think that really, really, really almost is what got Keats fired because that whole recruiting class turned into nothing.
And it went for the transfer portal, right? If it went for the transfer portal.
And so now I think, especially with winning the ACC tournament, I think they have a really good support now with NIL. They got a ton of fan support after the championship game, and it continues to come in. So I think Keats is going to have a lot more going into this offseason. You're still going to have Taylor. You got O'Connell for another year. You're going to have Diarra, Middlebrooks. Now, of course, this is assuming all these guys are coming back. But
O'Connell said he was, but that's the only one that's been definite.
Yeah. Right. So,
we talked about it last year. It was a fork in the road, and we've gone down the road a little bit. We took that good fork, and now we're at another fork. I mean, let's be real. We said last year you made the tournament, you got to build on it. So thankfully he pulled it out and he's building on it. Now you just got to keep stacking these. And I think once you keep stacking them, then you can start getting a reputation.
Yep.
Yeah. And you got to get dudes in like, McNeil still coming in, Parker. You got to get those guys in because it feels like we've never got those guys in that are quote unquote program changers, right? So you're supposed to get Dillingham in, who's going to be that dude, but then he goes to Kentucky. I guess it works out because you get Horn, who's going to, who's still a scorer. But hopefully next year you have guys like Cam Wood step up. He was apparently the best point guard when he got here, like in practice and everything. He was the best point guard. So you're going to need that to really show next year. But you at least have the pieces there, which is a good thing that keeps it staying, because you get rid of him, then you most likely lose those pieces.
Right.
Yep.
Quick update here. Colorado State's up 27-14 at halftime.
Yeah. I've got it on.
Virginia literally scored
like
14 points in one half.
Yeah, they
zero points the last 10 minutes of the half.
Yeah, Virginia got the 2 touchdowns early, and then Colorado State came back. They did miss they almost missed the extra point, but it is 28-14 at the half.
You said 0 points the last 10 minutes.
That sounds accurate.
That's wild,
dude. They're not a good shooting team. Like we should have swept them.
Look at that,
dude. I was getting so mad in that Virginia game at the amount of illegal screens by Minor.
Someone did a montage on it. Did you see the montage?
Yeah, what's his face? Jake put it together.
Yeah, like every time they went into a corner, it was due to an illegal screen by Minor kicking out his knee or his hip to impede our defender, and they scored on that like 6 times.
Insane.
I was getting so mad.
Well, it's a great strategy. They're not going to call it 9 out of 10 times, so keep doing it.
You do it every possession. Like, what are they going to do?
Yeah, and I feel like since I've watched Virginia the last 5, 6, 7 years, however long, they've been able to do that and never get a foul call on it.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it is insane to me.
Well, they do it on the opposite too, on the rub on the defense, right? Where they rub
on the hedge.
Yeah, the hedge. Yeah. Thank you. I didn't have the right term for it, but you know what I was talking about.
Yeah.
That's bad.
Yeah, crazy.
All right,
crazy.
All right, y'all. So last question. So realistically, what is your bar for the women's team specifically in this tournament? Looking at, now the stretch where they'll, if everything works out perfectly, which as we know in this NCAA tournament, nothing works out perfectly, but, NC State will have to face Chattanooga, Tennessee, more than likely Stanford, and then more than likely Texas to make it to the Final Four. I mean, can they win? Can they make it to the Final Four? I mean, I think that's definitely within their ceiling for sure, right?
I think if they can get, assuming chalk all the way, if they can get past Stanford in the Sweet 16, I think they go to the Final Four. I think Stanford's probably a tougher game than I guess Texas would be in the Elite Eight. But
I would agree with that statement too. If they play the way that we know that they can play, that they played during this season against UConn and Colorado, there's not many teams that are going to beat them. So I think if they're playing on that level, then 100% can be a Final Four team. Now, realistically, I think it ends in the Elite Eight.
Yeah. I don't know. I think I could see Sweet 16. At the beginning of the year, they picked to finish 8th in the ACC.
Yeah.
And I think we've seen flashes of why they were picked to finish 8th in the ACC. And that's no knock on the team. They've overperformed by far. And the fact Westmore didn't win Coach of the Year, or at least come in second. It's just insane to me.
Thankfully, it's 10:15 at night.
Yeah.
Then he didn't even get second place. Come on.
Yeah.
And
I can see the Syracuse coach getting Coach of the Year. I can totally get that. They were picked to finish 9th. And I like Kenny Brooks. I think Kenny Brooks is a good coach, but no way Westmore is not the second best coach in that conference this year.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's just a matter of who shows up. And I think that's the glory of basketball. It's like, State, they've beat teams that they look like they can make it to the Final Four, but at times and they can make it look like they're not going to get past the Sweet 16.
Like the Miami game, right?
Yeah.
Oh God, awful.
Well, because it really, for me, comes down to how consistent, how long can this team play at that consistent high level, which unfortunately for this team, as we've seen all 2 times, they don't really have those long stretches. They usually have a game, a couple games in where they have that lull. So is it kind of bad for me to say? I honestly kind of hope against Chattanooga that we're not like firing at all cinders, like 110 points scoring and giving up 10 points. Like, honestly, if that happens, I'm like, oh God. Like, it's more like, all right, that's not that's just not lining up with the plan here. So, but yeah, no, I definitely think get by Chattanooga, get by Tennessee. I think I'm thinking if you can get past Stanford, that's job well done. If you lose to Stanford, okay, I can live with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like Razor said, Sanaya Rivers and James are the keys, right? If they're if both are hitting outside shots, it's over. Like it's that consistent shooter where Zaza will go and score 28, and then the next game she'll score 12. Same with Sanaya Rivers, though. Sanaya does so many other things than scores. Like, she's a really good defensive player. She rebounds the ball really well. But I think there's going to be times in this tournament she's going to have to be selfish. She's going to have to put this team on her back and make things happen.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right, y'all. So with that being said, we'll wrap things up here. Ryan, appreciate you tuning in, man. I appreciate everybody also too tuning in here for this men's and women's basketball preview. Ryan, any final thoughts, man, about men's or women's basketball that you want to tell our viewers and listeners, man?
I'd rather be in the tournament than not in the tournament. So, I'm excited to see both teams play because I think, like we covered tonight, I think both teams really have potential. They've shown that they could win every game, but they've shown, the other side of things. So, but I think they're going to be on the right side. I was just poking fun with the Westmore thing, but, at the end of the day, he's a better coach than a lot of other coaches in the NCAA.
Oh, totally.
And at the same time, on the men's side, it reminds me of a lot when, and I dare say it is when UNC won it, what was it, in 21 or something like that? They didn't even win the ACC, but they got hot at the right time. So if State can just get hot at the right time, I'm not saying they could win it all, but you could still make a run to the Sweet 16 or something like that. And I would love to make it to the second weekend, man, because I know
I just want Keats to win a damn game in the tournament.
Agreed. Right.
Amen.
And I think they're set up very well to beat Texas Tech, but I think that's the next step is to beat, win your first game and then go from there. Because I think if they play Kentucky, I think Kentucky is an overrated 3 seed. I think they should have been a 4 or 5. I mean, they're good, but they're not a 3 seed good. Like, they're very beatable. And then the other side, if you got into the Elite 8, the other side of the bracket isn't very strong. So surprisingly, it's set up pretty well for State, but you got to win.
We could see Duke in the Elite 8, right?
Duke or Houston, I think. Houston's the 1 seed.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. So I mean, just like honestly, my vote is that if we can beat Texas Tech and just like you said, get past that last little curse with not being able to win instantly tournament game, that honestly, if we play Kentucky, if it's Kentucky in the second round, that literally would just give a standing ovation the entire game. Like, just forget about it, don't care. If Dillingham goes off for 40, don't care. Like, just great job, phenomenal season, man.
I know
don't
that's
care.
a little hyperbole. No, you're a little hyperbole there. Like, you don't want to go get blown out. Like, that was my concern playing Carolina on Saturday. It's like, look, let's go cover the spread. It's a win, right? Anything else is awesome. And they, I think we're all NC State fans, so let's set the bar low and exceed expectations.
Well, and more of me saying like if you lose to because that's the 2 biggest holdbacks have been, well, Keys can't win a tournament game, and State in general can't win an AC championship, and within 1 week of time, both those things can get pushed to the side. Yeah. So
the crazy thing is he's been here 7 years, and he already eclipsed all his ACC title, ACC tournament wins in 1 week.
Yeah.
That's true. That's just sad.
He has more than Brownell also.
What's that now?
I said he has more ACC tournament wins than Brownell at Clemson too.
I picked.
He's been there 10, 11 14 years. No, it's 14 years.
Yeah, he's been there a long time.
Yeah. No, and did we see PJ Hall's last game in Clemson Orange and upcoming game and the UNC Blue?
He ain't going to UNC, man. Now, granted, they could dump some money to him, but
that's what I'm saying, man.
Does he have another year?
He has 1 more year, but he's considering.
Is he Mondo Baycott's twin brother? He's been there forever.
Oh, he's been there forever, and he's like one of those dudes again that are just annoying to watch. Yeah. And he's a talent, but he's just one of those just annoy you.
Yeah, no, he's a talent. So I wouldn't be surprised if UNC tries to make a move, but and that's all it is. I guarantee you, is just how much money can I get from these other teams out there?
probably.
Play the game. Yeah,
play the game.
It's like you get an offer letter from someone to just get a raise at your current place.
Exactly. All right, Wolfpack Nation, thank you all so much for tuning in. We appreciate y'all and love you guys, man. Y'all are awesome. We are so excited, to be sitting here once again. 2024 ACC champions, not ACC tournament champions, ACC champions. Period.
What is it? 3 days and then 2,100 and some days since Carolina's been the ACC champion.
Exactly. Hey, Ryan. We said yesterday, KJ Keats has more ACC championships than Baycott and Davis combined. So. Yep. That's a stat right there for you. So, but with that being said, Wolfpack Nation, either way, win or lose after the Texas Tech game, we'll do kind of like a post-game podcast. So make sure again to stay tuned for that. To make sure you do not miss out whenever we release any of our new in-state content. Make sure to hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. If you enjoyed this conversation, hit that like button. Make sure to give us a follow. Tuffy Talk Now on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. And last thing, by the way, though, too, y'all. Just buckle your seatbelts, man. My mom, who has season tickets for baseball, said, "Hey, do you want to go to the baseball game on Friday?" And as much as I love Pac-9, as excited as I am about this series against Duke this weekend, I'm like, bro, we have women's basketball, men's basketball. We have wrestling Friday, going on.
Yeah, Friday. Oh, wrestling will be going on.
Wrestling, bro. Yeah. Don't be getting away about wrestling, Greg. I mean, locked in, bro.
I forgot that's first Thursday.
I'm be sitting right there on that couch, man. I'm be having all my 4 screens going, man. I'm be locked in, bro. It's gonna be great.
You'll have to keep me updates. I'll be driving to Pittsburgh on Thursday, so make sure you shoot me updates.
I got you, bud. I got you, man. But with that being said, Wolfpack Nation, enjoy it, man. It's gonna be a blast. We'll see y'all Thursday night, and go Pack, y'all.
Win a tournament game.
And make something happen. That's all I'm praying for here, y'all. And of course, as I'm saying that, I got to get to the outro, baby. Let's go.